Hi Flosstube, my name is Becca and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram, and welcome to another special edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. Today I have a super special guest. I'm so excited. I'm interviewing Megan. She is Georgia Girl Stitchin'. If you have not checked out her channel, it's pretty awesome. She customizes all like her pieces and does awesome finishes, changes colors. It's kind of really inspirational to watch. So definitely check out her channel. I'll have a link below. So how are you doing today, Megan?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited too. This is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of people wanted to know more about you, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm honored. Thank you.
All right, so let's start off with the first question, and that is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivations?
So I had been told by quite a few people that I should start one, that they kind of saw there was not necessarily a hole, but kind of an area that could be built up with, younger, more modern stitchers that did different kinds of things versus the very well-known things. And then during quarantine and this whole pandemic, I was watching a lot of Flosstube.
Me too.
I was like, I'm taking a lot. Maybe I should start contributing just a little. So in the middle, work was pretty slow and I had the time and I was like, if I'm going to start one, might as well start one in the middle of a pandemic. So,
that's a good time.
And then people were very supportive, and I had an amazing, support at the beginning. And so I just kept going with it. So,
well, it was a very good decision because a lot of people love you. So the next question is actually a subscriber question, and they just wanted to know if you have a blog.
I don't have like a traditional blog, but I kind of consider Instagram as a blog in a way, because that's where I put, everything. I have a personal one and then my stitching one, and that's kind of where I put all of the information about all of my projects. So in a way, I kind of consider that as a blog, but I don't have like a traditional blog. No.
That's actually a good point, because a lot of people are like, no, it's too much work or whatever, or they use Flosstube, but I didn't think of Instagram as a blog. Yeah, I upload like my whips and my new starts and all that.
Yeah, you put all the information in there that we kind of would put on a blog, So
yeah, exactly.
Easier version of a blog.
Never thought about that way, so that was a very good point. So how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
So my mom taught me to stitch when I was in high school. The more and more I thought about it, I thought it was like closer to senior year that I learned to stitch, but Mom and I kind of took a trip down memory lane, and I actually think it was closer to freshman year, because I was really obsessed with Winnie the Pooh, and all of my friends were. We had like four of us, and we all had our own nicknames. Like I was Tigger of the group, and then we had a Pooh and a Piglet. And I think I was in Joann's with my mom one day, and we were walking down that aisle for some reason, and there was a cross-stitch pattern of a Winnie the Pooh project. And so that was like, oh, what's this? And Mom taught me how to stitch because of it. She's like, oh, I could teach you that. That's easy, and taught it to me. And then I wasn't really consistent at that point. Like I finished my little Tigger, or almost finished my little Tigger. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't pick it back up consistently until senior year, freshman year of college. So I would say consistently since like 2014. So 6 years, I guess. But I've technically known how to stitch since like 2011, so somewhere around there.
Nice. And you've brought your mom into your videos, which is really cool too.
She's picked it back up again, which is really fun. Because of keepsakes and my knowledge, because of all of this community, which is so incredible, she was able to find a way to pick it back up. So we've kind of full circled it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So what is your favorite project that you've stitched?
This is such a hard question, because I've been such until very recently, I was a very monogamous stitcher. So every project I picked up was, kind of my favorite. But ultimately, my favorite so far has been the Aloha from Stitch Rovia. I stitched that during quarantine, and it's just so colorful and so happy and so tropical, and is where I really wanted to be while I was stitching it in quarantine. Yeah. And it was kind of a bunch of little mini finishes, like the little mini motifs and everything. So I think that one, I always think back on that one as being one of the most fun ones that I've stitched. So.
Did you personalize that and change that up kind of like you do with the colors and stuff, or?
that one, I did not for the actual stitching, but I am doing kind of a customization on the finishing in a way.
Nice.
It's actually going to be part of the welcome sign at our wedding next year.
Oh,
So
cool.
this has aloha on it, which means welcome. So, and also kind of goodbye. But we have that. We're going to have that on the welcome sign with our last name and the date that will be at the wedding. So
that's
that's
going to be really cool. That's neat. So what do you enjoy most about stitching?
Definitely the relaxation aspect, which I know is the very common answer. Ooh, sorry.
Okay.
It's the very common answer for it, but I always do it in the evening or in the morning to kind of wake up or kind of nice start to my day or nice end to my day. But I am definitely a product stitcher. Like I only stitch projects that I can see an actual purpose for. Like I see it in my future house. I see it in my, I see a use for it. And so for that reason, I think one of my favorite parts is the final product actually of the stitching and seeing it displayed wherever I want it to be. So
yep, I understand that because I'm the same way. I think that's why I enjoy watching you is because I stitch stuff that I can see where I'm going to put it in my house basically. So, and I like to do the fully finishing part too. So
yeah. See that I still pay people to do, but but I do love the ideas of them. So.
Do you get a say in like how you want it fully finished since you send it to somebody?
There's definitely times where, I mean, most of the stuff I finished, I've dropped off the fabric that I wanted back with, and it's usually Barbara, and I'll be like, can you do this very specific thing? But there have been a few things where like, I have no idea what I want to do with this. So you go use your creative powers, your magical powers and create something. And she always hits it out of the park completely. So,
nice.
So it's a little both.
Nice. So the next question kind of segues out of stitching for a little bit, but what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
It would definitely be, well, I have two really big ones that I really love that are romantic comedies. I really love the lighthearted rom-coms, as well as the nonfiction historical documentaries. I love history and just mostly like colonial era American history, but also British history. My mom and I are huge Anglophiles. I absolutely love almost anything British. So I love watching the historical documentaries and the nonfiction. My like historical fiction, I guess, would also fall in there too. But even when I watch like The Crown or something, I always still look up in the middle of the episode, like, okay, did this actually happen? Or like,
that's cool.
Like it's like something really the facts. Yeah, I'm like, okay, but wait, did this really happen? Because this is really cool. Even like the Ford versus Ferrari, there were like cute little moments in that movie, and I was like, wait, did he actually do this, or is this just like literary? But those would be my two main ones: rom-coms and then the historical stuff.
So what fictional place would you most like to go?
Oh, it would definitely be Stars Hollow. Gilmore Girls.
It's so popular.
It's because if I want Lorelai and Rory as my best friends. I want to drink coffee at Luke's and I want to hang out. I want a gazebo so bad now. Cincinnati has this part of their architecture. So many of the homes, their front porch comes to like a gazebo in the front porch, like the corner. It's like a wraparound, but in the middle is like a gazebo. I'm like, that's going on my future house because I want a gazebo. So cool. I'm like obsessed with gazebos now, and so definitely Stars Hollow because I could just it just seems like such a fun place to be.
I think quite a few of us from the interview, we can all just take a trip to Stars Hollow because that seems to be like the ultimate goal.
Whoever finds that magic portal, let us know.
Yep, we'll for sure. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
Oh man, that was another hard one to think about because there's just so many options that you could do. Ultimately, like right now in my current life, if I could do anything, it would be to go to some super remote exotic beach like Seychelles or the Maldives or something and hang out all day with someone constantly bringing me fruity alcoholic drinks while I cross stitch. That is like my perfect day right now.
That sounds amazing, especially right now.
Yeah, that's all I can think about right now is like, take me to some beach and let me sit there all day and drink fruity drinks with cross stitch. Like, perfect.
Yep, that would be absolutely perfect. Just quiet, relaxing. The alcoholic drinks, just without getting drunk. So you can
Right. Oh,
continue to
yeah. No,
stitch.
that's what it's like throughout the day,
Yeah.
like you space it out where it's relaxed, but still very
Yep.
able to cross stitch. No frogging allowed.
Yeah,
On
no,
my
no frogging. That is not enjoyable. So the next question is, do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
I don't have any other crafty hobbies, and I don't have any other like intense hobbies. If anything, I have more interests. So I do kind of dabble in learning about different kinds of wine and what pairs well with what. And I have like wine podcasts and books. And so I really like learning about the process of that. And then, how learning more details of it. But then I also say I am a hobby of my fiance's hobbies because I am just as involved in those. I feel like he loves Magic the Gathering, so I'm constantly watching like Magic the Gathering shows, and he's teaching me to play that. And he loves to fish, so I'll go on the fishing trips. So I'm kind of a hobbyist of my fiance's hobbies in a way too.
That happened when I first got married too. It's whatever he enjoyed doing. I was like, oh, I'm going to do that too, so we can spend more time together. But has he learned to cross stitch? No.
He says he's willing to, but the thing is,
nice.
we can't both afford us to cross stitch. Like, this is an expensive hobby.
Yeah. It definitely is. It's funny because I just jumped down the diamond painting rabbit hole. So
man.
Yeah. And so when you said cross stitches, this was just a super cheap kit off of Amazon, but everybody's like, welcome to the diamond painting rabbit hole. It's really expensive. So I don't want my husband to start doing it.
Right. Like, his hobbies are already expensive enough. He doesn't need to also take on mine.
Right. Yep. That's true.
But the other side of
at least you kind of, share them and enjoy them. So
the other side of that, though, is that he just finds all these patterns that he then wants me to make for him. So I was like, man, I kind of wish you could just make that for yourself. You know?
Yeah, because it's kind of time consuming.
He wants me to make him a Teresa Winsler dragon right now. I know. He found that somewhere online. He's like, can I have one of these? I'm like, no.
No, I stitched Stretch. Have you seen, she has like a free dragon bookmark pattern, and it's just,
I have it.
Yeah, so I think his name is Stretch, and he's and that was a quick stitch, but even for it was a bookmark size, basically, blended threads, and like, it was crazy. I'm like, I'm never doing that again.
Oh no, I'm like, yeah, you're gonna.
So
I tell him is because they're you can't like really get a dragon pattern very easily right now. It's like, if you can find one, then maybe we'll talk about it, but he's not gonna find one. So like, look
up Stretch if you're gonna do it.
I will look up Stretch.
Because it's a free, I think it's a free pattern that I found, but it like I said, it's small, so it might be doable if he wants a dragon.
Maybe I'll quench his need for a Teresa.
So how would your friends describe you?
So because I didn't want to put words in their mouth in case they saw this, I asked them yesterday. I was like,
so a lot of people do that. So
like, how would you describe me? Because I didn't want them to watch this and be like, that is not how I would describe her. But they came up with very trustworthy and loyal. I'll do anything for, the people closest to me. And then they also said like independent for sure, thoughtful, but also very proactive. I'm not a procrastinator, and sometimes that gets in the way of friend time. So he's very proactive. So those are the words they came up with. So I'll go with those.
Those are all very good traits, though. There was funny because I don't remember who it was, but somebody said, well, I can't say a couple of the things that my friends came up with. So I was like, all right. Well, keep it PG. So the next question is, how do you prefer to stitch? Do you hoop, Q-snap, light, that kind of stuff?
I pretty much I just use a Q-snap with a needle minder. I bobbinate my floss usually just because it keeps it all nice and neat for me. I don't have any particular like lighting or magnification yet, at least right now. I would love to eventually get one of those like lap stands that will hold the Q-snap, because I've kind of dabbled and practiced with like the two-handed stitching, and I think I would really enjoy that, but that's hard to do without something else holding the Q-snap.
For sure.
So eventually I would like to get to that. That's quite an investment. So that'll happen later on. But yeah, pretty much just the basics, nothing fancy or anything.
I do the same thing, a Q-snap. I'm looking for a lap stand too, because I get pain like in my arm from holding the Q, because I stitch so much. Yeah, like I get pain. So I've been searching for lap stands, but
not an easy search.
little spendy.
Yes.
So what is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching when you went?
So my favorite place that I've one time traveled was to London. My parents and I took a trip for a week or so to London and kind of a little bit further out, like Stratford-upon-Avon and Windsor, and we kind of did like a 10-day trip there. I absolutely loved that. We got to do all of the nerdy historical things there, and that was so much fun.
Cool.
And I did bring stitching for that. I pretty much only stitched on the plane there and back, though. There wasn't a whole lot of time during the trip, but I did bring it with me. And then my other place to just visit in general is 30A along the Florida Panhandle. And we go there pretty much once a year, and I always bring stitching there too. So those are my two faves.
Nice. Yeah, definitely bring stitching everywhere.
Yeah, ABCs, right? Because you never know. I mean, I've gotten to the point even around here, we're just going out for an errand, but if it takes 10 minutes to get there, that's like a whole row of stitching I can get in.
Exactly, right?
I've gotten a lot of stitching done in the car.
Yeah, I bring it everywhere. Waiting room. Yeah, we started meeting up just at a local park, my local group, and yesterday a random lady just stopped by, asked what we were doing, and wanted to join the group and come hang out with us. So bringing it to different places, you meet people, or people get intrigued by what you're doing.
I've got a lot of flight attendants ask me what I'm doing.
Right.
We had the cabana boy come up and ask what I was doing.
Like in your downtime, you could be doing this. Yeah.
You're sitting in that stand a lot. You can get a lot of stitching done.
Exactly. Yeah. So what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your favorite go-to?
Definitely a Q-snap and a needle minder. I have lost too many needles in my life to not have needle minders. Needle minder, and usually more than one. I usually have 2 or 3 on my project, just depending on where I end. It depends on where I got to
short.
Exactly. So I have more than one, and it's so annoying though. Even when you pull out the project, sometimes the needle will go flying off from the project getting hung up on the project bag. So,
yeah.
And then I've started really using snag nabbits as well. That's become a major tool for me, just because there's sometimes those little stitches that just don't always look perfect, or perfectly right. So I've been using a snag nabbit a lot more as well.
I think I have one. I've just not used it.
It's really helpful. Stephanie from Just Keep It Stitchin' did a whole video kind of using her snag nabbit, and that's where I learned how to use it, and it has definitely become an important tool for me.
I think I missed that. I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm definitely a Q-snap needle minder. It's funny because now I'm gonna start taking my projects out of my project bag before I do my video, because every time I pull it out, my needles
go flying, right?
Yeah, and then in my video, I'm like, oh, I lost another needle. Great, because I couldn't find it because it falls on my deck or something.
Especially outdoors, yeah, and there's puppy paws and everything out there. So,
So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
It used to be easy because I was a monogamous stitcher, because it would just be the next thing that was the next shiny thing my eyes caught. Now it's usually I'm a seasonal stitcher, so it's usually something that's within the season. So I'm not doing Jolly July because it's still summertime and I have summer projects. So for me, but usually it's just whatever I want done next. Whatever I want to see in my house the most next is usually how, or if something shiny catches my eye, that's still a thing too. So that's how I've gotten up to like 13 whips at this point. It's ridiculous because
that's nothing compared to a lot of people. So.
I know. For going from 1 to 13 is kind of from what I'm used to. So. Yeah. But yeah, so I know it's nothing compared to a lot of people, so I'm not complaining by any means.
But it is, it's a big jump from just being a monogamous stitcher. Yeah.
All those things that keep catching my eyes.
I'm a seasonal stitcher too, kind of the similar way that you do as well, for just whatever I want to get done and put out. And I'm not doing Jolly July. I called mine Joyful July Stitching because I'm stitching like whatever kind of calls to me, or I'm doing new starts and that kind of stuff. So still doing some sort of theme July to go with everybody, but just
joyful. Yeah, I like that. That's
good. So we're down to the last question, and this is my favorite question. And I always leave it till the end. And that is, what is the best thing that has happened to you so far this year?
Wow, it's been obviously a crazy year. My favorite thing is kind of a bittersweet thing, because so far this year, my favorite thing has been moving down here to Auburn, moving in with my fiance, and this is the first time we've been in the same zip code like ever. So that's really exciting, getting ready to start my medical career, but it's kind of bittersweet because then I left Cincinnati. So it's like, and I absolutely love Cincinnati and I miss it a lot. So but I think ultimately this would be my favorite thing so far is, I'm closer to my parents now too. So coming back down to the South a little bit and getting ready to start the next chapter of my life.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the next chapter of your life, and it's going to be just the biggest, best, getting married and doing all that stuff. It's going to be exciting.
It's a crazy, crazy, crazy time right now.
Definitely is. That's why I like to leave this question to the end, because it kind of is like, it makes you think about just like the best thing that's happened, because this year has been pretty cruddy for everybody. So
oh yeah it's there have been a lot of good things that have happened this year, a lot of not great things, so trying to focus on the positive of 2020.
Exactly.
There's bound to be one thing,
Definitely. There has to be one thing. That way you can just focus on that.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I was so excited when you said yes to the
thanks for inviting me. This has been awesome.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and I'll put all the links down below, and we'll say bye to Flosstube.
Bye, Flosstube.